allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Hallelujah, brothers. You're on again.
Okay. Roll call.
Mayor Orr,
Here.
Councilman Baker,
Here.
Councilman Martinez,
Here.
Councilwoman Piltingsrud, here, Councilman Edwards,
Here.
Councilwoman Henninger, here, and Councilman Villagrana.
Here.
You have four.
Okay. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting of June 2nd, 2014.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the city council meeting June 2nd, 2014, the regular meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a first. Did you get the second? Charlotte was second. Roll call.
Villagrana,
Aye.
Henninger,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Piltingsrud,
Abstain.
Martinez,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
and Mayor Orr.
Aye.
6 ayes.
All right. We'll move on to visitors. The first.
Mayor,
Let's
if
do
I
this.
may,
Yeah.
I'd like to
Do
make
the
a motion that
special.
we approve the special council meeting minutes of June 12th, 2014.
Second.
Okay. Did you get all that?
Villagrana,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Piltingsrud,
Aye.
Henninger,
Aye.
Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Orr.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Forgot about that one. Okay. Visitors now. Wait, can I go to visitors now? Sure. Okay.
Motion?
I'll call up Police Chief Mike.
Just real quick, 2 minutes of your time. Officer Smith had wrote a grant through Walmart a few months back. We were able to obtain some funds. We now have been trained as of Saturday, the whole department, and in Explorers and some advisors also. So we now have AEDs available, and everybody's CPR and AED trained, both adult and infant. So there's an AED here at the city, and now there's 2 that the officers check out each shift in their squad cars for any assistance with the fire department, if we get there before them and assist.
Can
So
you
everybody's.
say what AED is?
My mind.
It's a shocker to get your heart going. There was
Yes,
defibrillator.
it's
Auto defibrillation.
auto electronic defibrillator, I believe. It's the
AED.
AED.
ADF.
It's basically a
I'll Google it.
pretty self-explanatory, foolproof device to help somebody, get their heart running again if there's a problem until the fire department gets there. Walks you through every step, checks everything, checks heart rate, tells you what to do. So everybody went through the training Saturday. Okay, thank you.
Congratulations to the people that went through training, and congratulations to the people who wrote the grant.
Thank
That
you.
wasn't us. That was-
Cassie, Officer Smith wrote it, and we received it from Walmart because it's a public-orientated type thing, and it's going to be great for us to have.
Who wrote it?
Cassie Smith, our SRO.
Please
School resource
pass
officer.
on my congratulations to her.
Thank you.
Okay, we know what it means now.
Okay. Automated external.
AED right
Okay. Next visitor, we'll got Mike Vendetti.
Mike Vendetti, 501 West Main, Florence. Takes me longer to get up here every time. I passed a sheet around, found on in front of you, and Mayor Orr, if you'd share yours with City Manager.
I have to.
I didn't have enough, I'm sorry, I ran out of printer ink. But I did a chart, and it's kind of interesting, and I'll just read what it says up here. It says, this chart shows the potential sales tax revenue recreational marijuana could generate if Florence permits its sale. I think I'm right on the sales tax, but Florence will receive 1.5% in sales tax from the state when they sell recreational marijuana, which means the state has a 10% sales tax. That's in addition to their excise tax. But they have a 10% sales tax. which they send 15% of that back to the city, which works out to 1.5%, which gives us an effective sales tax rate of 4%. Now, Canyon City is putting their initiative on the, I guess, I don't know if it's the right word or not, but it's going on the ballot in November, and they're including a 5% excise tax on the marijuana. So Canyon City, for every $10,000 in sales of recreational marijuana, will collect $900 in sales tax. That's an effective sales tax rate of 9%. And for a retail store to generate $900 in sales tax, have any idea how much they'd have to sell? It's on the chart. $36,000 in retail sales will generate the same amount that $10,000 in sales at a recreational marijuana outlet will pay the city. That's if the city of Florence were to put a 5% excise tax on recreational marijuana, and should they approve it. But basically, even if the city does approve it, that means there'll be a 4% sales tax on recreational marijuana, which, if on a $10,000 sale, will bring in $400, which in a retail operation would require $16,000 in sales to generate $400. That's basically what I'm saying. I think it's just something to think about as this issue goes around, because people say, well, it's about money, it's not about money. Well, it is about money, because you can go to Pueblo and buy that stuff, or on the street corner, and Mike probably knows where it is, buy it. But anyhow, it's something to think about as this issue comes up, because it's a lot of revenue. For example, we're losing, the dollar store, or the one next to it is closing, and that's got to be a big chunk of revenue that's going to be difficult to replace. So, anybody have any questions? Council? Yes.
This is assuming, I'm going to compare it to cigarettes. For somebody to spend $10,000 in cigarettes, they'd probably have to smoke quite a couple packs a day. And then if you take 10 of them, it'd still take quite a bit. So it all kind of also depends on how many people actually buy it and how much they use.
It's just an example. You could take it's $10,000, but you could make it $1,000 or $100 and just move zeros over. And it's just that it's a sin tax, and you put a tax on the ballot, fat chance of getting it approved. Look how long the sheriff worked to get his 1% sales tax. And I think Mike Patterson could tell us that expenses don't go down here. And unlike the feds, we can't print money. We got to get it somewhere. And I think this is a cash cow that if we pass it up, it's kind of difficult to explain when you go out and ask the constituents for more money. Anybody else?
We have to read this ordinance.
Mr. Mayor?
Could you come up to the front and state your name and address, please, so we all can hear it?
Is that a question for me?
It has to be over there.
Right there.
Go on up here and buy a microphone then.
Right
Here, I'll
next
move
to
over here.
Okay, we'll just stand right next to each other, have a conversation really quick.
Okay.
My name is Stephanie Luck. I live at 959 M Street.
Stephanie what?
Luck, as in what you would need to win the lottery. My question is if you have any data on the reverse side. So you're talking in terms of increased revenue, and I'm wondering what kind of analysis you might have in terms of increased costs that would be associated with allowing for a wider access to marijuana to be available in the community. Because I'm familiar with what's going on in Pueblo and Pueblo West, and I know that there's a group out there that has serviced individuals coming in, especially from out of state, who don't have jobs and who need social services. And in the first quarter of last year, they serviced about 360 people. But in the first quarter of this year, they've serviced over 1,600. And so my question is, if you have this huge increase in revenue, that's wonderful, but you may end up with a loss at the end of the day because you have an increase of social services that are comparable or attributable to people using marijuana and all of the social, the medical, the family, the crime, all of those things. So I'm just wondering if you have any data on that side.
I don't have any firm data, but, from what I've read, there hasn't really been a change. There was a article in the Huffington Post, and they didn't have statistics for legalized marijuana, but they did have statistics for when they opened up the medical marijuana. And there was a big burst in Colorado of medical marijuana. And there was a 0.1% increase of high school kids using marijuana. It's difficult to measure that, and I don't have any numbers for you. And you could get, if you legalize marijuana, of course it's expensive, or if you do a retail marijuana store, it's going to be expensive. So I don't think it's going to draw the riffraff that's going to be out on Highway 50 with a cardboard sign saying, I'm having withdrawals.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
If I were to provide you within the next week or two with data that proves the opposite, would the council be willing and open to such information?
Yes, we're always open.
Okay. And I just send it to info@Florence or something of that nature?
You could bring it into our city manager, Mike Patterson.
Okay, great.
Or just into City Hall. Either way, one or the other.
And I'll copy it for council.
Wonderful. Thank you.
They are like a sponge when you have information.
Great. Thank you.
Like sponge. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Next, we have Philip Flanders. No?
We don't have Philip Flanders.
You're not here? All right.
No Philip Flanders?
Didn't show up.
Going once, going twice? It's not.
The gentleman in the blue shirt.
No.
I think he wanted to talk.
No.
Okay, old business. Second reading, ordinance 11-2014. Oh, I didn't see you on the list, Dick. I'm sorry.
List, but I just wanted to respond here.
Okay.
Dick Upton, 401 Tanner. It was interesting, the commentary between Mike and the young lady here. And the young lady brought up points that I've been mulling over of, well, we hear mostly is revenue, but what are some of the other side effects, excuse me, that are starting to show up with the retail marijuana? Like, say, I've talked to deputies in areas that have this problem, and there is increased enforcement. State regulators come down, enforcement has to go with them to go through the shops. So there's time involved and extra manpower, and the figure I got from this area, not this area, but the area I was talking with, was about 200 extra hours per month of enforcement. There's other things too, and one of them that she brought up was negative cost on social services, the impact of people coming into town who are not bringing anything with them other than legal marijuana is here. And just in the paper today now, CPS, or Child Protective Services, is starting to get involved with children in the home where there's marijuana and have taken some children away. So there's a lot of these other things besides revenue that need to be taken into consideration before we jump into this. Thank you.
Thanks, Dick. Anyone got any questions? Okay.
May I expound on this gentleman's thought?
Yeah, you'll have to walk up front so we can all hear you. State your name and address, please.
I'm sorry, I don't know your venue as well, because my name is Larry Luck. My daughter Stephanie. I live 959 M Street also. We have kind of researched this. My wife and I and several of the people in our community went to a Pueblo West meeting here last month, and the Pueblo County Sheriff actually made comments. He is adamant against the marijuana because of the impact in his county. My daughter alluded to one of the facts. Another one of the facts, which, you know, with your taxes, if you think you can get revenue, you're really not going to get any revenue out of per se. He was saying for every dollar that you would get in taxes, you're going to spend $10, at least in Pueblo County, on social services. So I beg you, I implore you, really research this. You know, I've heard a lot of argument in the Canyon City Council because we're very opposed to this, okay? I can appreciate we have a depressed economy, but as that gentleman just stated, the ramifications of bringing in retail marijuana into this community far outweigh any tax benefits you will ever get. I would appreciate it if you'd look at the costs not only in law enforcement, social services, medical. There are so many facts out there that if you research, which I'm sure you all have, the facts speak that marijuana, there's nothing positive about marijuana. The only two reasons one would want marijuana would be either for the tax benefit, which is what I think you all want, or a personal gain type thing. But living in this community and seeing this and having professionals that have spoken on this, because we have some people, one gentleman worked for the federal government for over 30 years and he's very good, and this is all he did was drugs and stuff. And he can give you facts and figures, as my daughter will do that for you. I just ask that you look at that because, like I say, I thought that the second reading would be tonight. That's why, not knowing your venue, I was hesitant when the one councilman says, you know, when he looked at me, because I don't want to step on anyone's toes because I don't know what your venue is. But I don't see where this will help. You won't get the tax money, and all it's going to do is degrade our society, our community. You're going to be bringing this riffraff in. I used to work for the U.S. Postal Service. I just retired in April. And I used to move transportation all over southern Colorado because I worked in Colorado Springs, okay? And I talked to my drivers who've been all over the state, and they see people coming into Colorado. And they ask, well, I see you're here, okay? What are you here for? Well, I want to smoke the marijuana. And so these people are coming into our community. We already are in a depressed economy. We have no jobs for the people that work here, that live here. Excuse me, not work here, but live here, okay? And so when you bring in these additional people, it's going to be overburdening to those of us that live in this community. You're going to want more taxes, more sales tax, property tax, retail tax, state tax. And we're already in a depressed economy. We cannot absorb these people who are going to come out here. They have no job, no place to live. They're going to go out here bumming for, you're going to have them sitting at Walmart, which I see, or other places, asking for the citizenry to give them money, this, that, and the other. And like I said, I used to live in Colorado Springs, so I've seen this on a larger scale. But these people are moving in, and we're going to pay the brunt of it, us, the citizenry of this community. So you as our leadership, please, I implore you, I beg you, please look at this issue because it will have a dramatic effect on our community. Please. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to our city manager now so you can explain.
I want to clarify what actually happened at our last meeting because I think there's a lot of confusion about where Florence is actually at on the issue. At the last city council meeting, the city attorney had asked for essentially a sense of where the council is on the issue so that we could determine if the council was going, if they're against this, we don't want to spend the money to draft the rules, frankly, because it's very expensive. We had 6 council members here, and it went 3-3. Because the motion was essentially made in the negative, the motion to ban marijuana in Florence, retail marijuana, that meant officially the motion failed, so officially it wasn't really a ban overall, it was just to direct the council, or the city attorney, which way the council was leaning on that issue. So what happened was simply a straw poll, not actually anything factual, and it's 3-3 was the vote as of last week. Now, if I'm counting right, we have all 7 here, so that decision will be made eventually. I don't know when council will make that decision, but it will be made eventually. And I guess speaking from staff's perspective, we would like to see it get resolved one way or the other. It's been hanging on for a very long time, and we're looking for it to get resolved. So with that, I'll be quiet.
Okay, Mike, I'm gonna let you up one more time and then I'm gonna move on.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to respond to what Mr. Luck said. You know, there are a lot of opinions there. I have opinions also. I could ask the chief of police, is it here? Is that, you don't live in Florence, I take it you live where, Pueblo?
Penrose.
You live in Penrose, okay. But it's here. It is here. And having it illegal does not solve anything. Prohibition has never worked. It doesn't work now. There's not gonna, well, that's my opinion. I don't want to give you an opinion. It's just a fact is prohibition has never worked. Thank you.
Okay. Charlotte?
Just to touch on the subject, I'm going to a conference on Saturday in Colorado Springs for the Marijuana Academy Coalition, just to see what information they have. And they've offered to come down on our July 7th meeting for the workshop to give us some informed education materials before we start the workshop, if that's okay with everybody.
I think there's a big workshop Saturday in Denver.
It's in Colorado Springs.
Is it?
That's the one that I'll be attending.
Yeah.
Yes.
Manfred keeps wanting to send me there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm a guest of one of the Colorado Springs City Council members. And
Great.
we're going to try to get as much education as we can, but they've offered, the person putting this on has offered to come down and talk with each one of us individually or in the workshop setting to give us a little bit more in-depth information.
Like we said, we're open to
Can
any information we can get.
I ask Charlotte a question? Is it independent or it's they pro marijuana or against marijuana?
This is, they are pro marijuana, but they're the ones that are, they're educational mainly, to give education about marijuana and about retail cultivation, so on and so forth. But they also offer training materials for municipalities. If you're going to form a task force to write the regulations and the ordinances, then they're willing to come in as a task force and assist in those writings because they know what has failed and what has worked in different municipalities. So currently they're working with Colorado Springs, they're working with Manitou Springs. So they've offered up their services to Florence as well.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments? All right, I'm going to call back up Philip Flanders. State your name and your address, please.
Philip Flanders, 440 8th Street, Penrose. And I heard that you were addressing the issue also with the recreational marijuana and just wanted to be involved with it. I'm a consultant to the marijuana industry and have been actively helping with local municipalities and jurisdictions to establish regulations. And I think that absolutely it's a big decision for every community, but it's definitely here. It's a big industry. I think that the notion that it's going to bring in a lot of riffraff is not the case. It's organized business. That's what it is, and it's going to add to the tax base. And I just really would like to participate with the council as they're going through this process. So I came down to just get familiar with everyone and just find out where you're going with everything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions for him?
Will you be attending Saturdays?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will.
And that's in Colorado Springs, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to move on to, if there's no one else, we're going to move on to old business. Second reading of ordinance 11-2014, the zoning newly annexed land, the Pontanas. Do we have to read that ordinance?
No.
Okay.
Need a motion.
Yeah.
Make a motion that, will somebody make a motion?
No, go ahead.
No, just waiting for one.
Make a motion that we adopt ordinance 11, 2014, An ordinance approving zoning on newly annexed land at the southeast corner of the intersection of US Highway 50 and State Highway 67 to the C General Commercial Zone District.
Second. First and a second. Roll call.
Villagrana.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Schultingstrud.
Aye.
Edwards.
Aye.
Henninger.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
7 ayes.
So how long will it take?
The annexation will be official on July 5th.
Okay. Good deal.
It won't record until July 7th, so.
Yeah, the 5th is a Saturday.
We need to have the chairman do a very big opening. We do new customers.
Yeah, we should.
All right, second reading ordinance.
Exact same thing, just for the other property across the street.
Yeah, 12-2014 zoning newly annexed land, the Estes.
I would like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 12-2014, an ordinance approving zoning of newly annexed land at the southwest corner of the intersection of US Highway 50 and State Highway 67 to the C General Commercial Zone District.
Second.
Larry.
We got a first and second. Roll call, please.
Schultingstrud.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Henninger.
Aye.
Villagrana.
Aye.
Edwards.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, moving on to new business. First reading of ordinance 13-2014 establishing permanent moratorium on marijuana cultivation facilities. Mr. Edwards?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make the motion
Do we need to read?
to amend ordinance number 13-2014. On the very first header up on the top, I would like to remove cultivation and put in all marijuana facilities in the city of Florence. Paragraph 4, I would like to add all marijuana, striking cultivation facilities. On section 1, where it says permanent moratorium, I would like to add all marijuana, striking cultivation facilities. And on the 4th sentence of that same paragraph, I'd like to add all marijuana, striking cultivation facilities, and then add a definition of all is to include retail marijuana stores, marijuana product manufacturing facilities, marijuana testing facilities, and the cultivation facilities.
I would second that.
Did you know this was coming?
No.
Okay. Guess we do roll
Or you can
call.
do it, right?
We'll vote on it, or discussion?
On the discussion in it, I'd just like to remind all the council people, a yes vote is to prohibit all of this, and a no vote is to allow.
And so you got it straighter than the city attorney had it,
A yes vote is to prohibit the amendment that I just done.
and a no vote is to allow.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So to prohibit.
It would not, it would allow, it would just strike down my
If they vote
amendment.
yes, they're voting to amend the ordinance to prohibit all marijuana facilities. in
No, not amending.
If you vote on this ordinance to amend the way he's asked, you're voting to prohibit all marijuana facilities in.
If you vote yes.
Yes.
Yes,
If you vote yes, you will
Then it will be
prohibit
prohibited.
all
Okay.
marijuana facilities.
yes, okay. Yes, to prohibit.
Yes.
I just want to stress to each of you that if you vote yes for this, that means you are saying no to all 4 of the activities that Councilman Edwards. So if you are a supporter of any of the 4, you would be opposed to this as it's being proposed to be amended. So, just so you know, it's very clear, this is all 4. What Councilman Edwards is moving.
Oh.
Can I ask a question?
No.
I'm confused. I'm still confused, but I confuse easily.
He's asking to amend it to add other facilities besides only cultivation facilities to have, to include all the other portions of
Get it straightened out.
marijuana.
Okay, now, run it by,
Okay, we'll run it by one more time. What he's saying is, anything in here where it says, looking to ban, or to put a permanent moratorium on cultivation, he's turning cultivation into all marijuana facilities.
everything.
That means no retail, no testing facilities, no manufacturing facilities, and no cultivation.
How
So
about
he,
medical?
medical's already banned in
That's
Florida.
banned. That's
So
So
that's,
everything, pretty much everything.
so he's saying a permanent moratorium on all four of those things. Now granted, this is the state of Colorado, permanent only means until you change your mind and go to the other direction. But is that part clear? If you vote yes, that means you are saying no.
We're banning all.
Yeah, you're banning,
Marijuana.
putting a moratorium on all facilities. You've already got one in place on medical, but this means all facilities, is what he's proposing here.
And I understand this way, if you'll vote it to prohibit it, then it will save us money on Brian as well, for Bryson regulations, because it will be on the simple changes, in one paper.
A yes vote will allow.
A yes vote means you're banning it. A no
Yes.
vote means you'll allow it. So it's just so it's clear, so we don't have any, wait for the tape.
And are we gonna just call each person or what?
It's a roll call.
Do a roll call.
Okay.
There's still discussion. I think you got people who want to talk.
Charlotte?
My question to the council is, if we put this permanent moratorium in place, I mean, that's it. We have a workshop scheduled for July 7th for us to move forward on the ordinance that we're allowed. If you're against it, I would say that would be the time to vote no, but I would at least urge you that let's get some more education. Let's hear from the public one more time before we turn this into a permanent moratorium.
And I would state quite the opposite. We've had plenty enough time to make a decision as a leadership. We need to get the ball rolling. We're spending money, not even knowing what we're going to do, and I just want to put this to rest. And again, I'd like to say, just remind that the council, a yes vote is to prohibit. That means it all, there'd be no on everything, a no vote would allow.
And, and I have to remind again that I did go in through neighbors and knocked on doors, and most of them, majority, were against it.
Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
You know, from a staff's perspective, we obviously want this resolved. From a purity of public process perspective, this is very much legal. I don't know that it's necessarily ideal in that we didn't give everybody a chance to come in and comment on it. I do think it's legal.
There will be second reading.
It has to go through second reading.
Yeah, it has to
They
go
will
through
have,
second
they will have
reading,
chance
so
to come.
This is not done.
You would have that opportunity, I would suspect, if you do vote yes, if four of you vote yes, I guess, you probably will have, either way,
She thinks there's
you can
gonna be
still have
four.
that hearing, I would think on July 7th, because you can get that information just before you go in and do second reading. So that's something to consider. But just want to stress that you know, this is, if you vote yes on this, you theoretically are ending
Getting rid of it.
the discussion, at least
For now,
For
now.
reading.
until something.
until second
And
reading.
again, before you call vote, you said yes is for. I don't, just to put it clear, a yes vote is to prohibit,
Yes is for a moratorium.
a permanent
Yes.
moratorium.
No is to allow it to happen.
Or
Is
at
that
least
clear
to
enough?
say no to a moratorium.
Wouldn't no just be to not allow his changes? in the-
Exactly, and they would go back to a
Yeah, I
formal
guess that would be the first, yeah. Actually, you
Yeah.
are voting on the, Brian's not here, but I think you're voting on the changes,
You're
actually.
voting on this. particular motion.
So if you say no, you could go back to the regular motion if that's what you wanted to do.
Anyone else? More comments?
You know, just to reinforce what my fellow council members said, I went to my ward, and my ward was running, the people I talked to, which was approximately 30 people, and my ward was like 25.
Mine was 24. I talked about 40. I'm not sure. It's like
So,
24
you know,
to
the
5.
aspect of
24 to
visiting
8.
with people in my ward, I have done it. I've received emails, and I have them, if anybody wants to see them, and they can feel free to call these people that have talked to me or I've received emails from. I have all that information, I'd be glad to share that with anybody.
My last comment is, it's here. Regardless of we have retail marijuana or not, it is here. They're growing it in the backyard, and it is
And they're
black
selling
market
it from the
sales right
backyard,
now.
too.
So right now, the sales are happening, but we're not receiving any of the revenue. Revenue is going into someone's pocket who is not following the state law. We now have the ability to allow that to become legal and for them to make money legally.
Do you think they will go legal if they will? If they will
I do,
allow it, they
because-
will have to pay a lot of taxes.
I do. I think they would, simply because they're going to know that they're always going to have a stock. They're going to know what they're getting, and they're going to know it's not been on a table with something that might have had another kind of substance sitting on the table with it. This is the safer alternative to the black market, and that is what I'm looking at. And then with the backyard grows, children are going to get their hands on it. This is a way that if we sell it in retail, maybe we can cut back on the backyard grows. I think that if we put a permanent moratorium, we are really shooting ourselves in the foot, and we are opening ourselves up to more crime in this city than allowing it in a secure facility.
May I add something to it? If they grow, it's kind of discussion right now. I don't have anything personally. If they grow it on a backyard, they will probably will keep growing it on backyard because it's free. They don't have to pay extra money for it, and it's just a couple of
But
plants.
it's not easy.
One person at a time.
And
I don't want to debate
another
going
one,
on
since we discussed
Just said I don't want to
industrial at
debate.
first, and now then we started discussing Main Street. I don't want barred up stores on the Main Street, to be clear. I'm kind of really giving up.
Paul?
You know, I wrestled with this pro and con, but there's one thing that sticks out in my mind. And that one thing is that I was elected by the people in my ward to represent them. And my people in my ward said that they do not want this. It doesn't boil down to dollars and cents for me. It boils down to me representing the people that voted for me.
And Paul's right. We got elected by the people. I agree with that part. I agree with everything. And everybody I talked to, from up the hill, from my ward and everything else, I'm getting where they tell me if they don't want to see it come in. No, I don't understand.
Okay, Charlotte.
First off, to address the backyard grows, it's not easy to grow marijuana. If they have a store where they don't have to drive 30 miles to, I think they would rather go to that store. Second off, I was elected by my people to carry out their decision. And surveying 30 people of your ward, that's just a small amount. Unless you survey all of your ward, that's when you're going to get accurate numbers.
I can do that.
But right now, we do not have those numbers. I mean, what we do have is how many people voted for 64, which I know is not to allow retail marijuana to open up in your town, but those are the people who wanted it within their state, and it passed here in Florence. And so a majority of the citizens here in Florence voted yes to allow recreational marijuana go through in the state. So unless we do a thorough survey of every single citizen, we are not going to get the same data. We're not going to get that kind of data without surveying the whole population.
I can get more information by next meeting.
Paul?
I was just going to say that not only did I have those people, but I also had probably another 20 people from different wards, Ward 1 and Ward 3, that were against it. And I'd be glad to give anybody, even your ward, I'd be glad to give you the names in your ward that were against it. And anybody on Ward 1, I'd be glad to give you the names that were against it that I talked to. So, I mean, I took an overall view of the town. But that being said, let's just vote.
Again, Mr. Mayor, before we call for a roll, I would like to remind the council, a yes vote is to prohibit, to disallow.
Okay, I'm going to move on to a roll call. Yeah.
Edwards,
Yes.
Feltingsrud,
Aye to prohibit.
what was the answer?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Henninger,
No.
Villagrana,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Baker,
No.
Orr,
No.
no. 3 noes.
Did you get
Four
that, buddy?
That's on to 4-3.
4-3 passes.
So
On
it passes,
first reading.
On first reading.
Sure.
So that means this will be back on July 7th for second reading. Again, I think it makes sense to have our hearing that night anyways. At this time... Workshop, sorry. It's scheduled for 6 o'clock. Councilman Henninger had requested that we have it early so that people can come in, some folks can come in and get more facts out there. With this action, it seems like you probably should give more time. I would imagine it's going to be a pretty full workshop. So the request is 5:30 for the workshop.
When?
At 5:30?
5:30 on July 7th, prior to the...
What do you got?
It was scheduled for 6.
It was scheduled for 6. So that means, what that means is that that day you would have a 3 o'clock meeting.
6
The
o'clock.
recommendation is a 5:30, but currently it's scheduled for 6, and then a 7 council meeting.
July 2nd?
Does that work for everybody to have that extra half hour?
Yeah, and are we gonna have, so if she brings in people,
Well, I would assume both sides are gonna bring in lots of people. I mean, that's my assumption. That makes that kind of the final showdown, because if you pass it that night, then the moratorium is in place. If you don't pass it that night, then it's back to the drawing board again.
That's July?
July 7th.
it's on your sheet right here.
Everything except it says 6 o'clock on your sheet. I would recommend you at least go to 5:30, because it's gonna be a very busy agenda.
How do you put that new one in?
Yeah.
The 5:30, it's at 5:30, it's the marijuana workshop.
Well, right now it's scheduled for 6. Councilman Henninger had asked for 5:30, and I think you probably should do that.
Okay. Paul?
Now, my question would be, if we do go at 5:30, will there be a time limit on the individuals that come up and talk? I mean, I don't want to sit here and listen to the same person.
There will be a time limit on everybody.
I would also recommend that you don't allow, it's great to have a debate and those kind of things, but we've only got an hour and a half. So my recommendation to you is that you allow people to speak once and maybe one rebut unless you get to the end and there's still some time left. But if we have 100 people that want to speak, it's not fair to those who don't get a chance to speak. So I'd recommend you do something like that.
I'm having a hard time, I guess, wondering why I'm going to be spending an hour and a half of my time on a workshop on something I've already voted on, and, I mean, I don't understand a workshop. Maybe a workshop, maybe I'm confused here, I don't know.
It's council's choice. You could also say, no, we're not going to do a workshop. My recommendation to you is that you are making a final decision on that, and as I brought up earlier, it's done in the amendment form here on the floor where people didn't know this was coming up. So I would recommend before you do the second reading, you have that workshop so you can just hear from people that day.
What about visitors? Maybe during the meeting we could have, they could speak up at visitors section.
Well, they could also speak up during the second reading. You could allow all that at that time. You could forget the workshop and allow them to speak at that time. That's
Maybe we should do that.
I just don't understand, we have second readings every 2 weeks and we don't have workshops for them. I just don't understand.
Well, this is a bigger issue than in terms of...
I think they're all big issues myself.
And the workshop had previously been set and it hasn't been canceled.
Okay,
so if the council wants to cancel the workshop, you have the right to cancel it right now. I mean, you can vote to cancel that workshop. Or you, a consensus, we cancel the workshop.
I think maybe we should cancel it.
In other words, you're saying
Then,
that
yeah. Then just
no matter what anyone comes in here and says or anything, your mind's made up.
No, I mean we're supposed to listen to everybody, but we can listen them before the meeting, at the meeting, I mean, and make
At the
decision back
workshop.
there. Not at the workshop, at the meeting.
Well,
You can speak up at the meeting.
just ask how I want to workshop.
How many want a workshop? Well, we're back the same square. 4 and 3.
I saw 2 people raise their hand.
2, yeah.
How many people want the workshop on the
Yeah,
7th?
there
and
was Charlotte,
Keith, and Keith.
Larry,
And you?
and me.
Okay.
The other 4 don't want a workshop.
Don't want one?
Don't want one.
He doesn't.
How many, you don't want one?
I don't want one.
So 4, don't want 3?
Okay, so then.
So we cancel the
Done.
workshop.
So the workship is canceled, so then that means that those who want to present on the record before you do your second reading.
Okay. Okay, cancel workshop.
Good cancel this time.
We have thrown under the bus tonight.
Nothing personal.
No.
It's that troublemaker.
Okay, let's move on, please.
Edwards down there. All right, I'm moving on before this gets any crazier. Resolution 7-2014, establishing water rates. Mike, you gonna talk about that? Or Dory? I didn't get listed.
Back in May, or the end of April, when council had to approve the debt retirement tap factors and found that we needed to increase the debt rate to the citizens to make bond payments, council approved $5.88 increase. At that time, we did not change our resolution or rates to include that as the increased water rate. This, at the workshop that you did in June, on June 2nd, council had asked to consider the minimum gallons that we would charge the citizens, and you guys agreed to change the minimum gallons from 3,000 gallons for inside users to 3,500 gallons. This resolution incorporates not only the $5.88 increase to debt that was voted on in May. On page 3, you'll see that it incorporates the change to the minimum gallons for the inside users to 3,500, and then of course the increments based on tap size that we did the calculations for. The minimum gallons becomes effective August 1st because the billing had gone out by the date of your workshop. So the minimum gallons will go into effect August 1st, and on the front page you can see that the water rate went into effect on May 1. And that water rate went from 36.68 to 42.56, which is the $5.88 debt increase. So that just makes our resolution of rates what we're actually charging, and then changes the minimum gallons.
Any discussion on this matter?
Just a question. Dory, that means that all the information that we have there will not be in effect until August